Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of my new podcast, Hiring and Inspiring, show where I talk all things sales, recruitment, leadership, business, and pretty much everything else in between. Now, today's guest I've got on the show, a very old friend of mine, a chap we go back a long way till our school days. I think we were maybe 16 or so when we first sort of really became good friends. I've got my old friend Tom White on the show. Old friend, he's a great bloke, really good guy. We've stayed in touch. We've made stayed became good friends since then. He now lives out in Dubai. He works for a global consulting firm, and I'm sure he's got a lot of wisdom to share with me. And I'm looking forward to catching up with him. So, Tom, with that intro, how you doing? And
Yeah,
welcome to the
very good,
show.
thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, yeah,
Good stuff,
thank you
mate.
for having me on.
Mate,
It's
you're welcome. I'm delighted to have you on. So, just to kick it off, when we last caught up, so it was probably a couple of months ago. It was around Christmas and New Year's. I was out visiting you in Dubai.
yeah,
Yeah, over the festive period, we were catching up. You were kind of in between jobs a little bit. You were finishing up in your old role, um, and you hadn't yet started. You were about to join E&Y, um, massive global consulting firm. You were really excited about it, but you hadn't yet started. So here we are, 2 months down the track. How's it going? How's it been? Tell me about it.
yeah. Actually, yeah, that time when you came out, actually, it was a very strange time for me, like between these roles. But I
Yeah,
think for us, it actually worked out really well because I didn't know until like maybe even just a couple of weeks before that you were definitely going to be coming out, and then the
yeah,
timing just aligned perfectly because I knew that my contract was coming to an end with my previous company, my
yeah,
UK based company. So I was in this in between where I had that downtime. So it's actually
yeah,
worked out really well. But yeah, it was a strange time because I obviously knew that this role was coming up. I'd accepted it. I'd got the job offer.
mm,
The start date had been pushed back, so I was at a point where I was really excited to start a new role, but
yeah,
also the nerves were building because it had been over this protracted amount
yeah.
of
Right.
time. I'd known it was coming. It was only going to be my second job out of university, so I've only done this once before when I had my first role.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, just those nerves were starting to build. But I think what I found with anything that you know is coming up and you've got time to think about, the thought of it always becomes a lot worse than the reality.
Yeah.
So well, I know this, like I know this through experiences so many times, but it's a really hard mindset to get out of. So even right up until the point where I was entering the building for the first time and heading up in the elevator to the sixth floor,
Mm,
the nerves were yeah at a peak.
mm.
But as soon as I got in and was able to have that first conversation with some of the other people that were starting with me, then yeah, the nerves just evaporated,
Yeah.
and since then it's been a really great experience. Um, Actually, the first guy that I spoke to, another new starter, we formed like a very good friendship with one of the other guys who was also starting that day. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's been really good to form a bit of
Nice.
a core team straight away. Yeah, figuring things out. Uh, yeah, so no, it's been really good. A lot of
Nice.
learning, which has been tough at times. So I've had to put in some extra hours to kind of get up to the same level of as people in my team. But
Mm.
yeah, the days have also flown by because of that. I think because everything's so new and so exciting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant, mate. Glad to hear. So, also, it was obviously it was a new job and a new company, but not just that. It was a career change as well for you, right? Because you were going from, you were working in, as a design engineer, um, to working as a in consulting. Like, so that's another thing that probably added to the nerves a little bit as well, which made it such a big thing. How have you found that part as well? The actual the changing career.
yeah, it was definitely something I was hugely conscious about that it was going to be. a whole new set of skills that I was going to have to acquire. And everything that I'd learned about consulting leading up to starting kind of, yeah, fueled that as well because I know it to be a very fast-paced environment. You're having to deal with um, wide-ranging issues that you're consulting on projects that can be completely different, and it
Yeah.
can change very, very fast as well. So I think the biggest thing that I was concerned about going into it was, am I going to have the time to actually learn these new skills, this new way of thinking,
Right.
and grow into this role, or am I just going to be thrown
Yeah.
around all over the place and end up just not being able to progress at all?
Yeah.
Um, but I got to say, it's been so far, it's been okay. It's only month one into the process,
Mm.
and I think the main thing that's really helped is just establishing people within the business who have got the time and the willingness
Yeah.
to get alongside you and help you out.
As in like kind of
And
mentor figures, like people you can learn from.
yeah, exactly
Yeah.
that. So that's been amazing. And I think without that, it would be very, very challenging.
Yeah. Bit of it like imposter syndrome as well. You kicking in, not coming from any experience in that field before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that will be something that is always there, to be honest,
Yeah.
because a lot of my colleagues have come from maybe other big four companies, or at
Right.
least
Right.
from the consulting background, or have maybe done MBAs. I haven't got any of this experience to my
Yeah. Of
name.
course. Yeah.
Um, so I think that will always be there. But what I'm really keen to try and do is to try and bring some of my experience from my design background into this new role, which I've
Okay.
been able to do already. I think
Nice.
there's areas where I can bring expertise where perhaps some of my colleagues don't have that same level of experience, or
Yeah.
maybe I can look at a problem and see it in a different way because I haven't. I'm not cut from that same grain.
Mm.
So there's definitely plus points as well. But yeah, I think the imposter syndrome will always be there. And I think, to be honest, in these early days, it's probably quite a useful thing for me because it highlights
Okay.
very clearly where my skills are lacking
Yeah.
and the areas that I need to address first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's better, not better, but I sometimes think it's better to have the imposter syndrome over what's the other one, the quarterback syndrome or whatever it is, where you think you're too good, your ego's out of control, kind of thing. The
right.
imposter
Yeah,
syndrome at least humbles you a little bit to think that there's a lot I need to learn here, kind of thing. Um,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's maybe not an easy ride, but it's helpful at the same time in
yeah,
clarifying what you need to
yeah,
work on. Yeah,
nice. So when we caught up in Dubai when I was there a few months ago, we were we were having a laugh. I remember I said to you, like, whenever I meet someone who works in consulting, I never really know what what the fuck that is. I'm just like, what is a consultant? And then they even half joke that they don't even really know what it is, and they struggle to explain it. And you were the same. You like, I don't really know what this job is doing. The- you know, down the track a little bit. Have you figured that out? Like, can you explain a little bit more to me, like what, or even what your job involves? What is a
yeah.
consultant?
So yeah, I can't speak to the full extent of it because I'm
All right.
very early days into it. Um, I think the main thing that comes across from consulting is that you're dealing with issues that the customer has no idea or a limited idea of how to tackle. So in some of the cases, the projects that I've been involved in is government entities who are looking to uh, venture into a new area, and they need help in uh, finding the best way to do that.
Okay.
So for them, uh, perhaps the environment that they're going to, they don't have enough knowledge, and they don't have the time or maybe the strategic thinking to
Right.
know about how to acquire that knowledge. So then the consulting team will come in and assist in really defining what it is that they're trying to do,
Yeah.
and then setting the steps for them to go about doing that. So
So,
yeah,
So real simply put, like it's a service, the offering, like,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
it's a to save them time, energy, effort, resource. You just they want something, you provide it, kind of thing, without them
Yeah,
doing the work. Obviously, they must pay for it, I guess. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all service driven. And the interesting thing is it's a service driven solely by the expertise of the team that they're putting forward. So
yeah,
it's very much a human to human thing. It's not like a product offering or
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah, like a defined, repeatable set of steps. It's all about the team that the consulting firm are bringing with them to tackle that problem. So they'll bring in expertise from across the business. So yeah, this most recent project has been with
yeah.
a government entity. So yeah, they bring a core team who've got a lot of experience helping governments tackle similar issues. Um,
Mm.
so that I guess for the customer, they're getting the assurance that the guys that are helping them have done this before, and they know how to tackle this issue in a really efficient and yeah,
Yeah,
goal-driven manner.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. You touched on like the different parts of the business. So you now work for a massive company. I think it's what, like, over a quarter of a million employees globally or something like that. I could be wrong there. Correct me
Mm.
if I'm wrong. What's it like working for such a huge company?
It's very exciting. I've gone from one stream to the other because I came
Okay.
from a very small, very specialized firm.
Yeah.
So that had its own advantages because you know everyone in the business, you know the
Yeah.
business inside out. Um, so it was very comfortable, and you feel like you're really kind of an expert in that domain.
Yeah.
The products, in my case, the products we were designing, we were the only ones really doing that. And going to the other extreme, a huge company with so many different service lines and expertise spread across multiple areas. So it's been really exciting because there's just so much going on, so many people doing so many different things. Um, so yeah, from that side, it's been great.
Hmm. Ever like ever feel like just a number, or is it that sort of too early to say? Because I know, like you said, when you're working for a small company, you very much feel part of it. You can make a name for yourself.
Yeah,
How have you found it in such a huge company?
I think in the very early days it did feel a bit like that because
Yeah.
after our induction process, which was only just one day, we kind of then cast off into the business,
Mm.
and then because it's a what they're selling as a service offering based on the expertise of the core team they're presenting, you have to kind of market yourself to the engagement managers, the people responsible for the projects.
Okay.
The onus is very much on you to go out into the business and advertise yourself and get engaged on projects. So I think in the first few days of trying to tackle that, then yeah, it felt a bit like I'm just a resource and I'll be picked up and then maybe drop
Mm.
down again and then I have to repeat this whole process. And
Okay.
but as I've got more into it, I've begun to realise that within the different sectors of the problems that uh, the company are tackling, teams gradually kind of form like core nucleuses, and
Yeah. Right.
uh, you get on well with a particular manager, he gets on well with you, you form a bond with the immediate team you're working with, and then
Yeah.
that team will kind of get carried from one project to another.
Yeah.
So then it kind of
And
feels
that's
less
almost
like
like the small business within the company, the larger company, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit more getting back to that. So you can feel like yeah, you're in charge of this particular specific area,
Yeah.
and this team that's their responsibility, and it's repeatable, and you go from this project to the next one, and
Yeah.
with the same team, and yeah. But but then the advantage of still being part of the bigger company is that if you fancy change, and that option is already always there, whether it's to look at a different
Yeah.
region or a different
That's exciting, surely.
sector.
Like, there's so many
Yeah,
different ways you can go, and, like, you know,
definitely.
the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I guess in terms of like geographical locations, then they got offices spread all over the world. So it's exciting from
Yeah.
that side, and then also just the range of issues and problems and sectors that they're targeting as well. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, mate. So going back in time now a little bit, you obviously you've left the the world of design. Now I know that was obviously an area where you worked in for a number of years. You obviously you studied in that area as well. So that was an area that was like, let's be honest, close to your heart. How are the sort of emotions, or how do you feel stepping out away, stepping out of that industry and into a new one? How do you feel leaving that industry behind?
Yeah, it's mixed feelings, I suppose, but mostly, to be brutally honest, I'm quite happy. I
Yeah.
think I'd spent such a long time in that field, and I'd felt like I'd kind of fallen out of love of
Okay.
designing products a little bit. Um, and it probably goes back to like my motivation for initially starting to study product design being based on the fact that it's the subject I kind of did the best at. It's the one I got most enjoyment out of, and it
Yeah.
was sort of the most logical step at that time when I was finishing A levels and deciding
Yeah.
what to do. It was the yeah, the subject that I enjoyed the most. I was achieved the best results at, and thought, okay, like this just makes sense. But the reality of designing in the real world, I think yeah, the excitement was perhaps a bit less because I realised actually you're not tackling a brand new product every single day. A lot of the
Mm.
time, it's just very minor adjustments to a product. It's not that exciting.
Yeah.
And then the bit that then began to interest me more was when you're talking about maybe bidding for projects in new markets. So it's not necessarily like a
Yeah.
specific one product design. You're working out how to tackle like a major contract, like for example
Yeah.
the London Crossrail project. It's not just built upon one design, but it's how can we sell our design services across the entirety of this project.
Yeah.
And that's what then began to interest me more, that sort of business development side and the service offering side.
Yeah. I remember you saying
Yeah.
about like you started to enjoy having those, those more business led conversations with other, stakeholders and other companies, um, and that wasn't really the job of a design engineer, right? That was maybe sparked probably the light bulb moment for you. Hang on, maybe it's time for a change.
Yeah, that's
If
right.
that's right.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And I think I've always felt like all the way through my design course that actually, if you're talking about the the skills required to develop a brand new product, like the creative thinking and being able to come up with lots and lots of different ideas, it perhaps wasn't my strongest suit.
Mm.
Although it was something I enjoyed doing, I wasn't the best at it, and even in my company
Yeah.
as well, like I would say the same thing. That's not where I could contribute the
Yeah.
most. So yeah, that gradually sort of began to pull me away from design more onto this yeah kind of project approach.
Was that the dream? When you got into it initially, as in like, I want to invent something. I want to, create some new product that's going to change the world or something. Was that the dream as a whatever, 18-year-old when you first, started studying it?
No, I don't know. I think honestly, it was really just born out of convenience, which is maybe a bit
Yeah.
boring to
Right.
say, but that was the reality of it. It's the subject that I had the most affinity for and the one I
Mm.
enjoyed the most. And yeah, I thought, okay, I'd love to just be in a place where I can just design products for a living. That would be
Yeah.
great. I guess I kind of imagined it would be like our design and technology classes at George Abbott School, like every
Just
day.
sawing
But
up bits of wood and stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Using that vacuum forming machine and having to go on the lathe. But
uh,
yeah, the reality was, yeah, perhaps a little bit more boring. And then I think the interesting side would have been the product innovation and being able to sketch out new
mm.
ideas for new products. And I could have taken that perhaps into a new industry and maybe moved into perhaps like automotive design or something. But
Okay.
yeah, I think my skill set I realized was yeah, less towards the design side.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, 'cause it obviously, it didn't necessarily play out exactly how you maybe wanted or hoped, but it provided you the lesson that you needed, or not needed, but it taught you it pointed you in the right direction. You got the learnings from it. Maybe this isn't 100% what I'm, for, but it sparked something in another direction. That's what you're now pursuing. So it sort of, it proved its purpose.
Yeah,
You got your learnings from it, right? It's all part of your journey. Is that what you think?
exactly. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think, yeah, I think for me then there were certain and approaches that I was able to leverage in order to move into this new industry.
Mhm.
And yeah, without having first done this, I obviously wouldn't have acquired that. So yeah, it would definitely serve the purpose for
Yeah,
sure.
nice.
Yeah.
Mate, so next question, I'm gonna switch it real up here. I'm gonna go even further back in time. So, Tom and I, funny story, really. We way back when I think we were sort of 16, 17. We were still at school. We actually both got our first jobs ever, like first jobs working doing anything. We got jobs together at working part time, working Saturdays at basically a shop in our hometown called Halfords. It's like a I don't know, car parts sort of accessory type store. We just randomly both got jobs there together, and we became good friends working there together as well. And just thinking about that time, how do obviously many years down the track now, how do you look back at that little period, our first, and your first foray into the world of professional work?
Yeah. I think every time that I go past the Halfords, then I can't help but smile because it's attached to so many memories that we built up during that
Yeah,
time. Like some of them were pretty tough, like not great memories, but for the most
yeah,
part, it was just really, I think, really good fun. There wasn't all that much pressure because the roles we were in were just sort of assistants, really, weren't we? Like
yeah.
yeah, store assistants. So yeah, it never felt like there was too much of a burden there.
Mm,
And yeah, looking back now, like I think it was just a great learning experience
yeah,
to do with yeah how to interact with colleagues,
yeah.
how to interact with management. We had some pretty, or one particularly really mean manager who yeah I
Yeah,
still despise to this day. Yeah, yeah, a lot of stuff. I think, yeah, it definitely prepared me for the real
mm,
working world.
yeah. I'm the same. Like, I didn't, no idea at the time. Like, I didn't, I sort of, used to dread it. I said, oh, bloody, I got work, bloody hell, working in that shop again. But like, obviously, we did have fun. But like, now looking back, I definitely learned just some real, just basic stuff about, just how to interact with people, how to speak with adults for the first time, kind of thing. Like
Mm,
how to, just how to graft a little bit, like little, a few of the people in this, people, some people did work really hard in there, and they definitely taught me a few things. So
yeah,
um, it was definitely, I'm glad we did it. Starting work at 16, it's quite a young age to, 'cause sometimes I don't know about you, I've met people in my life and they sort of didn't get their first job until they were, 21 or something, and it's like, yeah, I
mm.
can tell, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right. I think like it was probably a good balance between like a fairly light workload in terms of like the complexity of stuff we're having to do, but
Yeah,
still having that responsibility to show up when you've said you're going to be there and commit to those hours. Like sometimes it was on a Thursday night, I think we had to do a shift,
yeah, we
which
did,
was
yeah,
not very fun, like getting back from school and then having to drag
yeah,
ourselves down there on a Thursday evening and then the same again on perhaps a Saturday morning or a Sunday.
mm,
Uh, yeah, I think realizing that it's just something you have to do. Um, yeah, and then on the flip side, meeting some very fun people and realizing that work isn't always just something you have to do to get some money.
yeah,
Like it's a social thing as well.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Back to the present then. You're living in Dubai. You've been living there for a year and a bit, year and a half, coming up a
Yeah, a
year and a
year and
half,
a
is it?
half now. Yeah.
Yeah, year and a half. Life in Dubai, expat life. A year and a half in, how are you finding it? Just generally living in Dubai. What's on your mind there?
Yeah, I think probably around the time he first came out, which was it was May of last year, wasn't it? So
Yeah, I
first,
think you'd maybe been there 6 months at that point.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think at that point I was very much on the fence about, uh, yeah, one just expat life in general, and then
Yeah.
specifically expat life in Dubai. I think I was at a point where, yeah, I probably was still quite attached to a lot of stuff at home. Not that
Mm,
I'm not now, but it was probably had a greater bearing then. So I'd left behind like a really amazing set of friends who I'd hung out with a lot, um, and had, yeah, a really close bond with. Obviously family as well. Um, so I was still in a place where there's a lot of mixed feelings about being there, and then it, that's just speaking about expat life in general. But then in Dubai specifically, then I think the climate was just such a massive shock to me,
yeah.
and the lack of nature is just plonked in the middle of the desert. So I really missed that, like being able to go out for a walk and into the countryside, and
Mm,
or being able to go and have a kickabout at a local park. Um,
yeah.
it's just not something that was possible. But now, like a year further on from that point, then it's really changed. Like I absolutely
Okay.
love life here.
Yeah.
I enjoy city life. I never
Yeah.
thought I'd ever be someone who'd enjoy living in the city, but yeah, I really love that, and expat life in general. I've begun to realise it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's something that you're in a completely new environment, but you're with groups of people who are also in that exact same situation. So being able to build relationships with people is
Yeah.
really easy because you've all got that same yeah, binding factor. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I think I definitely felt that. It is a real contrast. The city of Dubai compared to our hometown in the UK. I remember because obviously when I was home at Christmas, I was Christmas in Guildford in the UK, um, and and then when I came out and saw you in Dubai, and it hits you in the face. It's just so
Yeah.
different. The heat, the noise, the skyscrapers, the people, like the
Mm,
buzz around the place. Like it is a different world to where you were living before. So I completely resonate with the fact that it takes time for that change to for you to get used to that, because it is so different, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But it's I mean, you live there and I don't, but it seemed like a great place to live. To be honest, there's a lot happening there. It's just a mad city. I thought like it was just something like I just felt like I was in the future. To be honest, when I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still definitely times where I have to pinch myself and think like, is this real? I think the
Yeah,
convenience of the city like still jumps out and surprises me on a
yeah,
regular basis. Like
yeah,
having shops that are, yeah, so many shops that are open 24/7, and this, yeah, it's just availability of stuff is just constant.
yeah.
Yeah. The hardest thing has been finding taxis recently. That's been a real struggle.
Oh, really?
But yeah, yeah, I think the area where I'm now working and there's a big demand, so it's that's been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah,
But then that speaks to like I think Dubai and how accustomed I've come to it
yeah,
because there's other options. It would take a bit longer, but
yeah,
we're talking like the difference between 20 minutes and 40 minutes if I take the metro rather than taking the taxi. Like,
yeah.
but I think that's what Dubai has done to me slowly. It's made me just demand convenience, which is, yeah, maybe not a great thing. But
Well, at least you're
yeah,
self-aware enough to notice it.
yeah.
Mate, so next question. You turned 30 a few weeks ago. Sorry
Thank
to
you.
remind you.
Yes.
Sorry to
Yeah.
remind you. I'm still hanging on to my 20s behind you. But yeah, you turned 30 a few weeks back. How did that sort of feel? And as you enter the 30s, your a new decade. what are you sort of what are you predicting? You know, how do you feel about entering the 30s, and how what are you sort of predicting for the next? I know this is a pretty hard question, by the way, but what are you predicting for the next 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know really. That's yeah, that's a. There's so many things that could happen.
Mm,
I feel like just speaking about people around us, like our sort of age,
yeah,
maybe if we're looking to our parents as well, then that period, these 10 years between your 30s and your 40s, probably uh, typically would mark the time where things change the most. Like if you're talking about
yeah,
maybe marriage and then buying a house, like really establishing roots somewhere, having kids. There's so much stuff that would typically get caught up
mm,
in this 10-year period. So I think for me specifically, some of those things for sure I would like to aim towards.
yeah.
Uh, I have to be careful what I say because,
Which route? Which route?
well, so I'm thinking like marriage for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, I have a I have a girlfriend. I don't know how to say it.
Okay, mate.
Like
All
it's a
right. Yeah.
big shocking statement, but we've been together a long time, and I think it would be yeah
Okay.
reasonable
All
to
right.
assume that marriage would be
Exciting.
something we both like to aim for.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that would, but that's not to say that that's specifically tied to me like turning 30. I think that's more
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
case of
Where
that's
you're at.
exactly yeah
Yeah.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is great. I think I suppose also like maybe talking career wise, then uh, I'm really excited about this period of time because I I was really struggling to think more than sort of a year ahead with my last role, like what and the industry perhaps, like what am I going to be doing in 10 years time, and then longer than that, like what am I going to be doing for the perhaps the main part of my working life.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
that this opportunity has come up, then uh, I'm really excited to pursue that
Yeah.
and see where that goes. And even if it's not to stay in consulting, then I think it will open a lot of doors into other
Yeah.
industries, which will be great. Um, yeah, not to say that like career should be the only focus, but I think
Mm.
for me at this point, yeah, maybe like a little bit delayed in finding what I want to do for the larger part of my working life. So now I've got a bit of direction, and I'm really excited to pursue
Yeah.
that and see where it will go.
Well, I don't know. I disagree a little bit. Like, I think
Mm,
you're. I always sort of think. I don't know. I'm just predicting here and speculating, but like your 20s are for sort of experimenting, trying things.
yeah.
You know, try and live in new places, try different careers, try different jobs, and then your 30s are where you like, right, I've sort of done a bit of this, I've done a bit of that, and your 30s are now when you, in your career wise anyway, pick a lane,
Mm,
and you know you've now found that, hopefully,
yes.
or
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
you think so. When I say I disagree, I mean like you say you're coming into it late. I think you're coming into it at the perfect time. You know,
Mm,
your 20s were for, as you say, trying things, learning things, and you got the learnings. And now, I think for a lot of people, your 30s are when you really, you know, kick on in
mm,
your career. That's the time when you really start, you know, I don't want to say climbing the ladder. That's just a bit of a wanky term, but yeah, that's when you really press on. I think, yeah, for you, mate, that's probably, you know, touch wood and predicting. That's what I see for you, mate. So,
yeah.
um,
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited. I think just to be able to find something that I can genuinely find interested in and like look forward to doing every day, then
yeah.
yeah, really excited. But
And don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but those things you've mentioned, the stuff in the future, is that, are you thinking that's in Dubai, somewhere else? What are you thinking?
yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, like I was saying before about the expat life and being in Dubai specifically, then like my mindset when I came out here was it was very much a short term thing, and for Lala, my
Mm,
girlfriend, and I, then it would be to return to the UK and
yeah.
sort of push on with those things. But yeah, that's definitely changed a bit. Not to say that it is like set in stone, but I think
Yeah.
for now, like with the opportunities that were presented here to like work wise and perhaps like personal social life wise, then It's
Yeah.
we're both in a place where we're really enjoying being here. So for now, yeah, I think it will probably be the case that we'll be here for some of those things. Like I think
Yeah.
if we were to put a time on it, then maybe uh, another 2 years or so, and then
Yeah.
like reassess and
See
then
where you're at.
see
Yeah.
where we're at. Yeah.
I think
Um,
that's sensible. Like I always, I think I said this to you like before. I always find it hard to say, in 5 years, this is what I'm definitely gonna be doing this. I'm definitely gonna be
mm,
going back here, or I'm definitely gonna be living here. And I think more short term goals like that, maybe 1 year, 2 years, then reassess because you never know what's around the corner, right?
yeah, that's right. It's so hard to know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mate, I've just got one final question for you, actually. So this is a question I've asked a few people on this show, and it's something I'm interested in because, well, I think it tends to mean something different to different people.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty interested in the idea and the topic of success. So you can take this whichever way you like, but success, what does that mean to Tom White?
Success. Okay. So talking about my own, like what I would define success as for
Yeah,
myself.
what's success for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is, yeah.
I think, well, I think if I was to try and define success in a really broad term, it would be to like action a specific set of uh, objectives to meet an overall goal, and
Okay.
then that would be once you've achieved that goal, then that to me would be
Interesting.
success.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that like I think success has to be contained into just achieving one goal. I feel like you might enter into a cycle of then trying to achieve another goal, and then success
Yeah.
might always just be outside. I think, yeah, for me, I'd like to get to a place where I can define success as just being content and happy with what I have.
Yeah.
If success is the final objective, then I think that's a place I'd like to be in. So
Yeah.
not necessarily defined by like career objectives, career goals, or yeah, accumulating wealth, for example.
Yeah.
Just in the point where I can be happy and content with what I have, and
Yeah.
have that as the final goal that would yeah define success.
Boom. Drop the mic. No, I'm joking. I love it. That's great, mate. Tom White, thanks. Thanks a lot for coming on, mate. That was a really good chat. Really enjoyed it. Sounds like you're doing some great stuff in the new role. I'm really pleased for you. I'm buzzing for you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate your friendship. And I appreciate you kept coming on and taking the time to have a chat with me, mate. So, um, yeah, mate. Thanks a bunch. Thanks a bunch, and I'll speak to you soon. Tom
Thank you
White.
very much. No, I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to hearing future episodes.